Hey guys, it's Comics G-Man again, and this is just another one of your daily Super News readings. We're just going to see how Supergirl is faring right now with the news. My last video I said I think Supergirl is now dead. So let's see how she's doing post rigor mortis. Cinema Blend. Let me go. Let's see ones that we haven't seen. Let me go back. Let's see how far we go. What have we not seen? Okay. DC. All right, we saw that. We saw that. Oh, look at this. Supergirl box office second weekend drop worse than The Flash and Morbius. We already know that. People. Lex Luthor actor helped set up Supergirl producer James Gunn and his wife Jennifer Holland's marriage. Well, who cares? Variety. Box office. Minions and Monsters fizzles over 4th of July weekend with franchise. Low 61 million debut. Supergirl suffers brutal 76% drop. Wow. Holy shit. 76% drop. My God. Wow, that's worse than I thought. But yeah, I even saw something about Minions. Yeah, Minions and Supergirl's rough weekend shows audiences are feeling franchise fatigue. So Minions is doing good, but apparently it's not doing as good as they expected. I think people are just getting tired of going to the movies because every time I've been going to the movies these past couple of weeks, there hasn't been a lot of people at the movies. Like, it's the summer. And I've went on times where there should be a lot of people. Like, I don't know, dude. Even on a discount Tuesday, you think there'd be more people, but it's been pretty empty, which I don't mind because, I'm the kind of guy that kind of likes a bit of an empty theater. I know I'm a bit introverted, but and it's not good for the movie business, All right, so let's go on to the next one. This controversial Supergirl decision was way better than you actually realize. Okay, comicbook.com, what is this that you're talking about? By Liz Declan, July 5th, 2026. Non-stop discourse about the movie. What worked? What didn't work? What this means for the future of the DCU. Whether the hate for the movie was gendered, etc. Unfortunately for Supergirl, much of the response to the movie has been backlash and criticism. While there are certainly those who enjoyed it, there are many who took to the internet to share their deep dislike of the movie. Oh, those evil, evil people. How dare they? How dare they have an opinion that doesn't agree with me? Among the reasons audiences complained about it were the changes made to the source material. The comic book miniseries, right, which included significant alterations to Krem's appearance, different color scheme, right? Everything we covered in my videos. Massive change. Hey, Liz, is she watching my videos? She must be watching my videos because everything she said right there sounds like my valid criticisms of the movie. And a massive change to the ending regarding Supergirl's choice when it came to killing Krem. It was the latter in particular, though, that had one meaning many viewers are missing. Okay, what are we missing? What are we missing? Let's see. I didn't read this article, so I actually don't know. Audiences dislike the change to Woman of Tomorrow's ending. As mentioned, changes to Woman of Tomorrow's original ending proved unpopular. Namely, in the comic, right, we all know she doesn't actually kill Krem in the comic. Right? They keep him alive. We all know that. Alright, so what does she say? Many took issue with this because it undercut the original messaging. Yes. In the movie, she goes to great lengths to tell Ruthie that killing is bad, and it would change her. By saying these things and then killing Krem herself, it is sadly making it seem like Kara believes she is too far gone, which is a gutting thought. Liz, I think that's giving too much credit to the writing. That actually would be way better of an explanation, but the movie didn't give us enough context for me to feel like that in the moment. Like, they should, if that's what they intended us to feel, that Kara feels like she's too far gone anyway, so killing Krem isn't gonna like affect her soul because it's already too far gone. They should have showed us another thing to make that context, but they didn't tell it. They didn't. The only context maybe you could say is in like the mid to beginning of the movie where she's talking to Ruthie about Superman, that he's naive, he's got a different look in the world, he's more innocent than me, he's not like me or you. And then Ruthie looks at Supergirl like, what do you mean me? What's wrong with me? And like Supergirl goes, oh no, you have a heart, but I see my cousin sees the good in people. but I see the truth, which I still don't even understand. What do you mean the truth in people? Because all we've seen with Supergirl is like, the shit she went through on Argo. But I'm not sure why she has such a cynical view on people. The movie doesn't make that clear. So that's why I'm saying, though, like, this explanation about that she's too far gone doesn't connect with her killing Krem. It doesn't. I mean, that's a good explanation. I'll give Liz that. I think that would be way better than the non-explanation that they give us. Yes, she saves Ruthie from making the wrong choice, and that is still as wonderful as it is in the comics. That Kara chooses this darker path for herself is devastating, though. While it may not make that aspect of the movie's ending totally better, there is at least one aspect of this decision in the end, and the overall scene in which it takes place, that many viewers are missing, and it genuinely does improve the moment at least a bit. Okay, so we're really stretching things here, huh? One of Supergirl's most important lines has another meaning. Just before killing Krem, Supergirl tells him two things. After one blow, she tells him that was for killing Crypto, right. After another, though, she tells Krem, that was for what you did to that little girl. Right, okay, so yeah, for killing her family. Many are interpreting this to mean Ruthie, as Krem had killed both of Ruthie's parents and her older brother at the beginning of the movie, and then tried to capture her oh, wait a minute, I think I know where Liz is going with this. It would have made sense for this to mean Ruthie, as Krem did plenty to her to warrant that response. However, this could also mean Sarna, the little girl who Krem killed ruthlessly in the street above midway through the movie. In fact, it would make a lot more sense and be a lot more meaningful if the little girl Kara mentioned here was Sarna, who actually was one of the brides. Right, okay, so if you haven't seen the movie, there's this scene where Supergirl and Ruthie are hiding out for a little bit, but they're trying to find the brigands, the group that works for Krem, and there's this couple, these parents that she met who owned a bar. They bring them in, and they give Supergirl this poison because they made a deal with Krem that they'd poison Supergirl and give Ruthie up as a bride in exchange for their daughters that Krem took in. So, like, Supergirl survives the poisoning. She throws up the stuff, right? And Krem comes in, and, okay, I won't lie, it was kind of cool a little bit, the fight scene where they're fighting each other. But she could barely fight because she was poisoned. So, like, the brigands are fighting, Lobo comes in, and then fucking the brides escape because all chaos happens, and Lobo hit, like, the cages where the brides were in, and the brigands are trying to get the brides back. But for some reason, like, Krem is chasing the parents that tried to make the exchange with him. He's chasing their daughter, who was, like, one of the brides, and he finds her, and before Supergirl gets there, and Ruthie doesn't get there in time either, and he grabs the girl. No, first the parents come, he kills the mother, then the father comes, and then he kills the father, and then the girl, he picks her up by the neck, and then he fucking slices her throat and drops her body, and then he's like, ugh. I won't lie, dude, the guy who played Krem, dude, like, he did a really good job, but what the movie was missing was motivation, dude, because it was just wanton, like, it didn't mean anything, dude. Like, he was like the villain in 1492 Columbus, if you've ever seen that Ridley Scott movie. There's this great villain, though, Moxica, that Columbus goes up against in the movie. He's like the yin-yang of that movie, and he's like the devil, dude, a great villain. But to me, that Krem should have been like Moxica in 1492. He needed a bit more build-up, bro. And I'm not even saying to follow the comic, because even in the comic, dude, like with my criticisms with the comic and the movie is that at least they should have captured the color of the comic. But I don't like the story, though. That doesn't mean I like the story of Woman of Tomorrow. As you know, my viewers on the show know I deconstructed that in one of my older videos. But like Moxica in 1492, who was a great villain, and the actor was very cool, I think Krem should have had like a build-up like Moxica in that movie, because I feel like the actor deserves that much, because he did do a good job just being a fucking villain. But what he was missing was the context. You know what I mean? they needed more character development for him. I think the actor deserved that because clearly he's a great actor, dude. Very good, very good. He really looked like he was enjoying playing the evil guy. So it's terrible. I don't know what they. As I said in my Creature Commandos video, I really don't. I'm even more baffled now because after watching Creature Commandos, which I love, right? Same team that made Superman 25, which I love, right? How is it that they made so many of these things that I like, and Supergirl feels completely alien to the world that they've been trying to build so far in the DCU, from Suicide Squad, Peacemaker, Creature Commandos, which I've watched now for the first time. You go down the list of Superman 25 of the world that James Gunn has been trying to build, right? So Supergirl just feels totally alien to the whole vision. So that's why I'm confused. Like, I don't know if I believe that this is totally... Like, because a lot of the vision doesn't look like James Gunn's vision in Supergirl. Everyone is saying that it's like Guardians of the Galaxy, but it doesn't feel like anything to me. It just feels like something totally alien from this DCU stuff that I enjoy. All right, so let me get back to the article here. A significant part of the plot actually focuses on her and her parents in particular, the bride that Krem kills, as her parents try to trade Kara in exchange for getting Sarna back. When Kara escapes their trap, Krem cancels their deal, tracks Sarna down, and murders her and the mother and the father, right, like I was telling you. This moment was frankly sickening, yet it didn't get nearly enough narrative attention. That was indeed a larger issue with the plot around the child sex trafficking, and while this one line can't fix that, if it was about Sarna, it at least gave her awful death some recognition, which is still not even close to what she deserved. Okay, yeah, no, I actually agree with this. What Liz Declan is saying, actually. I actually agree with that a lot. Hold on, where was I? Let me go back to where I was. No, like, she's absolutely right. Like, the movie had the brides, but it should have played up more on that. It really should have had a darker... If they wanted to go this dark, then there should have been more world building on the child trafficking, and to be honest with you, what would have been based is if they based it off of the Epstein files somehow. And I actually said that in my video. I think I said that in my ultimate analysis of Supergirl. I was saying that, like in Superman 2025, they had the balls to have a controversial position on, like, the Middle Eastern conflicts that are going on with Jaran. Like in the movie they named it Jaranpar, and I forgot what the other, Baravia. Those were the fictional countries that were obviously representative of the current Middle Eastern situation. But I have respect that they took a position in the movie, actually. I won't lie. So I feel like Supergirl should have had that kind of attitude that, like they did in Superman 25, where they should have literally made some kind of a message about the Epstein files. You know what I mean? I think that would have been really cool. I think that was a missed opportunity to have a kind of, like, message about what the fuck has been going on with the Epstein shit, that they covered up and that nobody talks about. So that would have been kind of cool to put that in the movie, actually. Have some kind of, like, take on that. What do you guys think in the comments? Let me know. But anyway, back to this. Supergirl's sex trafficking plot deserved more attention, especially for the victims. Yeah. It was definitely very light. It was not touched upon. Kara seemed much more concerned and angry about the potential death of her dog than about the widespread child sex trafficking ring going on, which is such a slap in the face to these innocent little girls. Absolutely. But, if you read the comic, though, you would know that Supergirl wasn't actually worried about Krypto dying. She knew that he was fine and lied about it to Ruthie and just used his sickness as an excuse to go venture out with Ruthie, which I didn't even like, though, because it just felt so unlike Supergirl. Like it's one thing for lies, right? But, like, this is Krypto, the super dog we're talking about, and, like, she used Krypto's possible death as an excuse to go venture out with Ruthie in the comic, when all she had to do was be like, okay, Ruthie, you know what, I don't, you're a little innocent girl, you want to have vengeance with your parents, I'll just go out with you and, not that she would have in mind to kill Krem, but just to make sure that Ruthie would be safe. And she could have brought Crypto along in the comic. I mean, you didn't have I'm not. If you haven't read the comic, or if you haven't watched my deconstructing Tom King's Supergirl comic video, what I'm trying to say is what happens is Crypto gets poisoned just like in the movie, right? But you find out later on that she already had a cure for Crypto and he was fine. And she just lied to Ruthie that we have 3 days or so to save him, and we're going to go get that antidote from Krem. Like, she didn't even need the antidote the whole time. It was just an excuse to go with Ruthie and fight Krem. That was it. It was such a horrible plot point. Like, it was so unnecessary. It would have been cool if they kept Crypto alive. I mean, kept Crypto awake, and he went with Supergirl and Ruthie to go and fight Krem. So, yeah, even a big criticism on the comic, though. You know what I mean? So, it was just not the best source material at all for this movie. All right, so let me go back to this. Yeah, so, yeah, great article. No comments, actually, I guess. I guess no one gives a shit. But Liz Declan, great article. I agree with you 100% on this. Good job. I like someone who actually read the movie and has a valid criticism and take on it, and is saying how they think it could have been better through that criticism. So good. And she said that really without throwing any shit on the critics too much. So that was good. All right, so let's just see a couple more headlines on Supergirl. Hollywood Reporter, behind the Supergirl bomb, competing cuts, creative differences. They're still going on about that. Minions, they're still going on about. There were 2 rival Supergirl cuts. We all know Minions. Supergirl inches past 100 million at the global box office after one of the biggest second weekend drops in superhero movie history. So if that's true, apparently this is like a big deal historically. Like, this is pretty bad. Like, historically speaking, it's a pretty big deal. Any of my movie cinephiles who know all the facts, please, in the comments, let me know. Is it true? Is this historically one of the biggest drops in superhero movie history? I don't feel like looking up the facts about that right now. And lastly, Cinema Blend. Why Supergirl's box office stumble doesn't have me worried about the DCU. Everyone needs to chill out. Do I want to read that? Alright, it's a real quick one. No, yeah. MCU didn't exactly light the world on fire at first either. Okay, so I see what he's... Well, that's debatable, dude, because The Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton was actually a really good movie. You know, that was like considered the beginning of the MCU, right? Wasn't Edward Norton actually supposed to be the Hulk in the Avengers, but something happened and that's when Mark Ruffalo came in? I'm pretty sure. So... I disagree. And Iron Man was fucking fantastic, and that was like the literal beginning of MCU. So what do you mean MCU didn't exactly light the world on fire? Everybody loved Iron Man. What are you talking about? Dude, 2007 or 2008, I was a kid. That's all everybody was talking about was Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. Everybody loved it. Iron Man 2 was not great. Iron Man 3 wasn't great. But that was 2013. Iron Man 2 was 2010. And you had like Thor. You had a few other movies that were out. Avengers first came out in 2010. Dude, the beginning of the MCU was peak. What are you talking about? Like, the beginning of the MCU was fucking fantastic. So, Mr. Hugh Scott, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? You know what? Before I rag on him completely, let me give him a chance. Let me see his explanation here. Like the new DCU, the MCU kicked off with a hit. DC had Gunn's own Superman last summer, and Marvel had 2008's Iron Man. The next Marvel release, The Incredible Hulk starring Edward Norton, dropped a month later in '08 of June, and Marvel was on a high, and still, Hulk disappointed at the box office, much like it appears Supergirl will. 2 years later in May 2010, Iron Man 2 came out, and while it did fine, it's usually one of the lower rated films, right? It really wasn't until the first Avengers movie was released. Okay, yeah, no, I see what he's saying now. Yeah, but why? Did Thor not do good in the box office? He didn't mention Thor. That came out in 2011, didn't it? Did anybody in the comments, did Thor do good in the box office? Why is Hugh Scott not mentioning Thor in here? All right, so he says that the MCU really started. Sure, all the movies really released before that, including Thor. I keep going ahead of it. Oh yeah, Captain America: First Avenger. That was fantastic. Did decent. Guys, did Captain America do decent? That was a pretty big movie. I like that movie a lot. But they weren't the juggernauts that MCU films would be throughout the rest of the decade. After 2000, okay, but dude, Supergirl. All right, if you're just basing this off of the box office, that's kind of shallow because, like, even if Captain America, First Avenger, Thor, what other movies? Iron Man, no, not Iron Man, Hulk. I mean, even if those movies didn't do good in the box office, they were really good movies. I would actually put Thor ahead of both of them. I think Thor was fantastic. Anthony Hopkins, Chris Hemsworth, God damn it. Oh my god, why did I forget the guy who played Loki? He's a great actor. Well, you guys know Loki, the guy who plays him. He's a fantastic... Tom Hiddleston. I'm sorry, guys. I had like a brain fart. But like, Captain America First Avenger wasn't like the greatest movie, but it wasn't a bad movie either. I mean, from that movie, we also got Agent Carter. So then we got the Agent Carter TV show, which was great. So like, they were good movies at least. Great. Thor was great. Hulk had some amazing fight scenes with Abomination. But Supergirl, not only is it so far a box office bomb, but it's not a good movie. I mean, I guess it's subjective. I guess it's debatable. I'm sure a lot of people will say I'm wrong. But to me, objectively speaking, not a lot of great stuff came out of it, if any. I think the best performance was David Cornsweet, and he only probably added up to 10 minutes of screen time. Like, acting-wise, David Cornsweet was fantastic. But there were no great fight scenes in this, you know? Like, Thor, at least, yeah, he fought that robot in the end. It wasn't that great. But what was great about Thor was the world building. Oh my god, guys, I'm having a rough night tonight. Where's the place that Thor goes to? It's not Valhalla, right? Oh my, Asgard. Jesus, what is wrong with me today? But like Asgard, the introduction of Asgard, all the characters around it, Sif, everything, dude. Like, Thor was awesome, man. I don't know why people shit on that movie. I have the 4K version, the 4K disc version of Thor. Absolutely beautiful movie. I think the director who made it was like some kind of Shakespearean director. I remember watching like a video talking about like the why they picked the Shakespearean director for Thor, and it was a genius move, dude. I wish they kept that guy instead of what's his name, Tahiti Wahiti, that guy that made the Thor Ragnarok and Love and Thunder. Although I don't know if the same guy who made Thor 1 made Thor 2. Thor 2 was atrocious. Thor 2 Dark World was atrocious. So if the same director who made Thor 2, then I guess that's why they axed him and they brought in Tahiti Wahiti to do Ragnarok. So that would make sense. Because Dark World was horrific. That was a bad movie. But yeah, dude, like, so even if these movies didn't do good in the box office, at least they were memorable and they had some great parts in them. Supergirl was like a miasma of unforgettable moments and like a blur. After 2012, and especially in the Avengers movie, going on the article, the MCU crushed all competition, including and especially the sputtering DCEU. This isn't a perfect analogy, of course. In 2012, the world was gaga for superhero movies, but 14 years and about 1 million movies later, some people are understandably burnt out on the genre. Superhero movie fatigue is real. Debatable. And I think that's at play here. The reaction to Supergirl has been way harsher than it deserved. If superhero fatigue was real, why the fuck did I put on Creature Commandos yesterday and tonight, and I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. Why is it that I put on Spider Noir this week, and my mom and I loved it, right? There is no, it's not superhero fatigue bullshit. It's just bad movie fatigue, okay? And I know a lot of people compare it to Westerns, like Westerns had their peak and then they died out. Bullshit. There's still some good Western movies that are made here and there. Nonsense. It's not a perfect movie, I grant you. The villain is pretty ho-hum, and it is a little jarring tone-wise compared to Superman. Excuse me? A little jarring? It is a complete alienation and isolation of the original vision of the DCU. Who, are you kidding me? Like, dude, some of these article writers, like, are you just, like, busting balls? Or, like, are you just, like, stretching things for some reason? Like, it's an obvious contradiction from the original DCU. Even Creature Commandos, which is about, like, Frankenstein monsters, the Weasel, G.I. Robot, go down the list. It's about, like, horrific monsters and violence and gore. Suicide Squad level of violence. It's colorful, it's poppy, it's comic-y, it's fantastic. It's true to the original DCU vision that I like. So what are you talking about? It's not even, it's not. Ugh. However, as others at Cinema Blend have said, it's a perfectly fine movie. Right, it's perfectly fine, guys. It's funny, it's heartfelt, Alcock is great, and it skips along at a brisk pace and a reasonable runtime. I mean, it sounds reasonable. What is it, an hour and 18 minutes, right, guys? Or something, but it feels like longer than its actual runtime because some of the scenes are so draggy. I thought it was funny in the same way that Gunn's Guardians are. No, it's not. No, it's not. Get out of here. Dude, Creature Commandos is hilarious, man. The humor that makes James Gunn's movies that are good is nowhere in Supergirl. Not even a little bit. What are you talking about? In fact, I think the whole thing bodes well for the DCU, which is clearly going for something very different than the MCU. Are you kidding me, dude? Alright, let's see. Up next is a straight body horror movie with Clayface, which will be out in October, before we get the sequel to Superman, Man of Tomorrow, on the 27th schedule. I think after next summer, we'll have a much better idea just where the DCU stands and what kind of future it has. Calling for a shakeup now is impatient. I don't know, dude. I don't know. Like, I feel like there's got to be some kind of shakeup because, everything else has been fine that I like a lot. But the Supergirl movie is a complete, whoever decided that there needs to, no, he's wrong. He's wrong. There needs to be a little shakeup at the very least, dude. You're wrong about that, Huey. Let's just see some of the comments on this, because look, this guy got 77 comments. So I bet there's some juicy stuff. The Penguin says, not superhero fatigue, just stop with that. More like James Gunn has ruined everything Superman related, and Gunn has become too weird. There is no superhero fatigue, but it's more like fatigue writing and poor filmmaking. Okay, what I was saying. Okay, so they're saying the same thing I said. Superhero fatigue doesn't exist. People are just tired of poorly written movies. I prefer Affleck as Batman, Cavill as Superman. Corn Sweat Dude and the Alcock Dude are horrible. Okay, excuse me, Mr. Eddie. Look, I appreciate a good snarky comment. I appreciate, giving you attitude, dude. But come on, dude. Alcock Dude are horrible. Corn Sweat dude, they're not horrible. Like, alright, look, you fine, dude. Hey, dude, you're right, man. You can hate David Cornsweat. It's not changing my life. But me personally, I think Cornsweat is perfect for Superman. I think he's better than Cavill, but that's not me saying, and I'm not saying this. Look, when I say this about Henry Cavill, it's not to appease to Snyder fans, and when I say things to David Cornsweat, it's not to appease to the Gunn fans. Like, this is just like my genuine opinion, dude. Henry Cavill is a fantastic actor. He did great with the script that he was given as Superman, but I'm sorry, dude. He's not like the fun, hopeful Superman that I enjoy. David Cornsweat is, to me, Superman. Like, he's next to Christopher Reeves for me, which is probably the most controversial thing you could say about this. Christopher Reeves is still number one Superman, but David Cornsweat, for me, is number two. And Millie Alcock, just to go back on that, dude. Alcock, dude. All right, look, I made the criticism that in my ultimate analysis of Supergirl movie, I said that the camera cinematography, the way they made her look in some of the scenes did not look good. But I also say that I know she's not like that. Like, she's actually really gorgeous, dude. Millie is gorgeous in real life. I think she's gorgeous. She's got a great smile. She seems to be funny. So she's not a dude, bro. She's clearly gorgeous. Like, seriously, if I like to see how you look, dude. You know, if you calling that a dude, you better look like fucking Henry Cavill. Let's keep going. Jim, you should be worried. Super movies are no longer cool. Hollywood greed killed them. Pump out as much junk as possible to make as much money as possible in the shortest amount of time. Instead of putting out, say, 4 movies of quality, we got 20 garbage films. Fuck that, bro. Nah, there's a lot of good stuff. I mean, you know, the Supergirl movie was just really atrocious, but there's still some really good stuff. I would say it's like an 80% good, 20%, 10% decent, and another 10% that's atrocious. For me. So I disagree. In fact, I think DC is not putting out enough movies, like, fast enough. I think Supergirl wouldn't have such a bad reaction if there's, like, more stuff. Like, if we had a Batman movie fast enough, the Lanterns should be out already. We should be watching the Lanterns now. They should have more on HBO Max, though. They should have more TV shows, another cartoon or something. Yeah, we have My Adventures of Superman, but I'll be honest, Season 3 so far, not good. I didn't see the new Episode 4 tonight. I will see that tomorrow. I'm still waiting on doing a My Adventures of Superman video. I'm waiting to finish Season 3 to really have a full opinion. Alright, guys, so what's this? Next is Super Trans. What are you talking about? Concerned Citizen. Next is Super Trans, like women's basketball or golf or boxing or... What, dude? Supergirl has been around forever. I mean, she's been around since the Silver Age, man. Let me get it, alright? Like, Supergirl, can you guys see this on the webcam? I got the 2 volumes, okay? Supergirl has been around for a long time, okay? Before all the political shit, you know what I mean? She's been around before you've been born, probably, Concerned Citizen. Alright, there's always been another female version of a male character. She-Hulk, Spider-Woman, you know? It's just what they did, dude. And a lot of the times, they actually did that. Like, for example, I actually don't know why they did it for Supergirl. Like, I mean, the history, I mean. I know the history of She-Hulk. I'm pretty sure they wanted to do She-Hulk because they were afraid that another company, another comic company, was going to, like, do it first, and then Marvel, if it was Marvel at the time, Stan Lee, yeah, they were worried that they wouldn't be able to have the rights to the She-Hulk name, and they did it for that reason. You know what I mean? So, I don't know if they did that for Supergirl. I doubt it, dude. I don't know the history of why they did Supergirl. I never looked into it. But I'm just saying, dude, like, this bullshit about Supergirl being woke, dude, she's been around for a long time. She's a great character. I don't know why people don't like her. I mean, like, she's great in the books, the TV shows, the animated shows, the comics. And to me, like, she sacrificed her life on Infinite Crisis, and it was one of the most memorable scenes of that. Like, and it's so iconic. Like, for those of you comic nerds, you guys know what I'm talking about. But for those of you who never did see Infinite Crisis or read Infinite Crisis. I actually didn't even see the animated ones. I should see that. I should see the animated ones that they have. I'm sure it's really good, but not as good as the fucking comic that was by George Perez, drawn by George Perez and written by Marv Wolfman. See, like, look at this, right? This was when Supergirl died in the Crisis on Infinite Earths, dude. The Crisis of Infinite Earths is what got me back into comics. And I mean, like no, I wasn't around at the time when they made this comic. I wasn't even born yet. But like 4 years ago, I was tired of like the Marvel stuff, and I was getting sick of the multiverse bullshit. I was getting sick of the Spider-Verse bullshit. And for some reason, though, one day I decided to just pick this up and read the entire thing. I don't know what got over me, But as soon as I opened the book, I'm like, holy shit! Look at the drawings on this thing. And then I'm like, wait a minute. Holy shit, again. The writing in this is unbelievable. You know? And I just kept going and going. And I'm like, this is how you do like the multiverse stuff. This was like actually interesting. This was actually serious. This was actually good. The Anti-Monitor was awesome. The alternate Lex Luthor, everything they did in this was amazing. Okay, for me. And this made me fall right back in love with comics. Because I was having a hiatus with Marvel Comics for a while. I was going to the comic store, reading Marvel Comics, reading Venom at the time, which I was enjoying. But overall, I was getting sick of the Amazing Spider-Man run at that time, who was written by, I already forgot the author's name, but he sucked. But I was getting I didn't like what they did with the Punisher. It was dumb, by Jason Aaron. I didn't like what they were doing with the Gold Goblin, right, at the time. I was sick of it. So this comic saved me, and that's why I fell back into being hardcore DC. Hardcore DC. This was how you do it. This was how you do it. When I was reading this, guys, kid you not, this moment where Supergirl died, I cried like a bitch. Cried like a bitch. Well, not that much, but I mean, but I really did like tear up, bro. Like, it was like a great moment. It was as good as any fucking movie or TV show. Better. Don't believe me? Read it yourself. I'm sure there'll be the critics out there saying, oh, it's old, it's retro, it's okay, it's nothing, it's no big deal. It kind of sucks. Fine. But this is what got me back into it. This is what made me have massive respect for DC Comics. Now, everything else, though, what happened, like with Supergirl, how they kind of forgot about her for a while, and then they had to try to bring her back as Matrix. Whole other story. I didn't really like what they did with that. But Peter David kind of saved Supergirl, I would say. He saved Supergirl a bit. But yeah, dude. Yeah, man. So, let's see. Should we go on? How much did I do so far? I don't even know. Well, look. I do have I just looked up some stuff from Superman news real quick. Let's see what they're talking about here. Dean Cain defends Great American State Fair attendance claims. The former Superman actor battled critics over empty fairgrounds, canceled concerts, and what the Great American State Fair really looked like. I don't know if I really care. No offense, Dean. Superman with Dean Cain is okay. Superman and Lois. But it was kind of... and I did watch the whole show. I did. It's okay. It's okay. Belgium got its tariffs cut. Then it sent Trump a diamond Superman ring. Really? Lionel Massey is Superman and... whatever. Original Christopher Reeve Superman costume sold for a fraction of its potential price. Wow. My Adventures with Superman Superboy rewrite introduces an important character. I'll be interested to see what they do with Superboy in episode 4. I did not watch it yet, guys, so I will watch it tomorrow probably. Alright, guys, so this concludes the new daily news cycle. I think this is a very long one because there was a lot to talk about tonight, and I'm just happy to just be talking to you, and the holiday is over and all of that. I hope you guys had a good time. Hey, and remember, comment. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know how you guys are doing. Have a good rest of your night. Like and subscribe.